Hello everyone, welcome to the Biomedical and Biological Sciences Open Day session for the University of Dundee. I'm very happy to introduce our academic leads speaking on what we have to offer for today's session and in the School of Life Sciences in general. We're joined today by Professor Kim Dale, Dr. Mara Stavridis, and Dr. Sher Harmutzi. Now I'll just pass on to Professor Kim Dale.
Thank you so much, and welcome on behalf of the School of Life Sciences to this Open Day event. And I'm just going to start by showing you this slide which outlines the session that we have planned for you today. So we'll begin with a short welcome talk in which myself, Kim Dale, I'm the Associate Dean International and Admission Tutor for the school, and I'll be joined by my colleague Dr. Maria Stavridis, who's the Associate Dean for Learning and Teaching in the school, and we'll be talking about the course outline and the structure of the different degree streams that we have in the School of Life Sciences. We're then going to have a very exciting masterclass talk by Dr. Sheria Hormazdi, who is our programme lead for the Biological Sciences degree stream, and then we have a wonderful reflective talk by one of our current students, Cameron Pollock. Throughout the entire event, we really do encourage you to post any questions you might have for us. You can post them while we're talking, and whoever isn't speaking will be more than happy to post answers to those questions. We also have a whole troop of current students who are also ready and waiting to answer your questions. So without further ado, I'm just going to put this slide up to encourage any of you that are social media whizzes to share the fact that we're all together today and highlight this very beautiful photograph which is taken from the Dundee Law Monument, which is the highest point in Dundee city, down overlooking the rest of the city onto the edge of the River Tay. So we are calling you today from Dundee, which is of course placed in Scotland, which was recently heralded as being the most beautiful country in the world in the Rough Guide 2019 travel guide. So this just highlights why we receive these sorts of accolades, because we really do have quite stunning landscape, beautiful scenery, wonderful place to come and live for a few years. So Dundee itself is placed on the east coast of Scotland, and this is a very beautiful view across the River Tay. Dundee has been heralded as being Scotland's best place to live and is one of the top 10 most affordable cities in the UK, which is an important feature for students as they embark on a choice of where to go and study. It's also been heralded as the most fun place to be a student in Scotland. It's heralded as being a city of discovery, and this slide just highlights some of the really exciting discoveries that have been made in Dundee. So, for example, flat screen technology. Every time you pull out your mobile phone, that's a bit of Dundee science there, right there in your hand. Also, the cash dispensing machines, the technology behind those, as well as a whole history of gaming technology and discovery. So, for example, Grand Theft Auto is a game that was discovered in Dundee. This slide highlights some of the university rankings that we've recently achieved and we're very proud of. So we're a top 20 university in the UK. We're one of the world's top 250 universities and top in the whole of UK for climate action, which is of course such an important global issue that we're all currently facing. We're top in Scotland and fourth in UK for graduates entering professional occupations, and again top in Scotland and fourth in UK for overall average satisfaction from our international students. So focusing then just on the School of Life Sciences, again, we are very proud of the fact that we score very highly both for our research as well as our teaching. So this is our research rankings. We're top in the UK for research, in fact, and that places us above Oxford or Cambridge in all of the research that we're doing in the context of biological sciences. And the next slide just highlights one of the fairly recent discovery made in one of our 10 research divisions. That's the Division of Drug Discovery. And so here we developed a new anti-malarial drug that is currently in clinical trials. As well as fantastic research, we're also very engaged in telling the public in our public engagement endeavours. And again, we won a Gold Engage watermark in 2020, really making it very evident that public engagement, telling the world about the science that we do, is really important to us. So I highlighted the drug discovery division, but this slide also at the bottom here highlights all the different sorts of research that we conduct in the School of Life Sciences. And each of those researchers is then involved in teaching in our undergraduate programs, which is why we think this is a fantastic place to come and study biological and biomedical sciences, because we truly offer a research-led degree. So again, these are our teaching rankings. We were very recently ranked as top in the UK for pharmacology and pharmacy, 4th in the UK for biological sciences and for biomedical sciences. And so we really do pride ourselves on our commitment to a really excellent student experience. That fantastic research is of course supported by incredibly strong core facilities. So amazing proteomics, imaging facilities, stem cell facilities, absolutely fantastic facilities that support the research but are also available to support students on their journey as they're learning to become scientists. So I'm going to hand over at this point to Dr. Stavridis, our Associate Dean Learning and Teaching, to tell you about what we offer to students in our courses. Over to you, Marios.
Thank you very much, Kim. A very warm welcome from me too. I hope that you have an exciting a few minutes with us while we try to explain to you why Dundee is the best place to come and study. So I will spend a few minutes explaining to you very briefly what kind of things that you might expect to learn when you come to study with us. And the first thing that I want to highlight here is that the curriculum that we have, the range of courses that we have all been designed from the ground up in consultation with employers to equip students with the skills that the employers are actually looking for. So these are all courses that reflect the research that takes place within our school and the research that takes place in the School of Medicine for the biomedical programs. And many of the teachers that you will have as your lecturers will be world-class researchers, and many of you will be doing your honours projects in labs. Those of you who want to do a project in the lab, in these research labs, cutting edge, forefront of bioscience type of experiences. And throughout the time that you will spend with us, you will have the opportunity to experience labs and facilities with state-of-the-art equipment. This is where the science happens. Can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. So this is the range of programs that we have. So broadly speaking, you can look at our programs under two big categories, and one of them has two further subdivisions. So the first big category is the programs in biological and biomedical sciences that we run that are entirely University of Dundee programs, and these are the list on the top. Biochemistry, the column on the left are all of the programs that fall under our biological sciences umbrella, and our program lead for all of these programs will talk to you straight after me. And the second column, which says biomedical sciences, neuroscience, pharmacology, and physiological sciences, are a group of programs that fall under the biomedical science umbrella. All of these programs are accredited by the Royal Society of Biology, and all of them have the option for a 4-year program or an optional 5th year to graduate with an MSci program. And the MSci programs are also accredited by the Royal Society of Biology. The second big category of programs we have is basically one program, which is a joint degree program with the National University of Singapore in biological and biomedical sciences. And more on that in just a few slides. Can we move on to the next slide, please? So we talked about, I mentioned accreditation. So what is this accreditation thing that I said? So accreditation is basically a stamp of approval by a learned body, in this case, the Royal Society of Biology, that says that our programs are what is expected to meet this high sort of standard. So for the Royal Society of Biology, degree programs must have a solid academic foundation in biological knowledge and skills and prepare graduates to address the needs of employers. So we recently had a visit by the Royal Society of Biology who reconfirmed our accreditation standard. And during this visit, they gave us the following points of good practice, commendations, if you like, things that we do above and beyond, exceptionally well. And these are our research-led curriculum that we've mentioned already, the variety that we have in the types of final year projects that we have, including the grant proposal, which is an assessment that our honours students do early on during their honours project. The fact that all of the students who wish to do a laboratory project can apply to do that, and we do not structure our programs in such a way to exclude students from doing laboratory projects. The fact that we have an integrated core curriculum on practical skills from a very early stage. Our mini project for the biological sciences. So those of you who are interested in doing biological sciences, they will do a mini project laboratory in your third year. And the statistics curriculum and teaching. So we do all of these things exceptionally well enough to be given extra commendation. Next slide, please. So what does this course look like? So our students generally enter year 1 or year 2, and in some cases even year 3, depending on their qualifications and grades. But the vast majority of students who start on our programs starts in year 1 or 2. And in this time, we prepare the students. We have a core curriculum that you've just heard about, where students learn core skills, both theoretical knowledge and also practical skills in laboratories that allow them to progress into the next stage. In year 3, students specialize. Until that point, all students do the same stuff, and basically they have flexibility to choose pretty much whatever stream they want to do, except for the National University of Singapore program, asterisk there. In year 3, students can choose to go in biological or biomedical stream, and then they spend a semester specializing in one of these two areas, and then they take core modules that prepare them for more specialization in these areas that they've chosen. And then they do, in the second semester, more optional module and some core modules that align to the specialism that they've chosen. In the 4th year, students take a specialist research project, and I'll tell you more about that in another slide. And then many of our students choose to graduate at that point, but a few of them choose to continue to the integrated masters and gain this MSci qualification, which is basically an extended form of the honours project, but for a longer period of time. Next slide, please. So as I've already mentioned to you, all of the students who join at level 1 and level 2, they share a curriculum. So all of our students do the same core and stuff. And the reason for this is that we understand that many of you will not have a full understanding of what kind of range of biology or biomedical science you want to do. So you need to understand better what it is you want to do, be exposed to a variety of things, and have the flexibility to change your mind, because that's a very key thing. You go to university to open your mind up to new ideas, and you should be prepared to change your mind for certain things. So we offer you that opportunity. And of course, depending on the qualifications that you have and the grades you have in these qualifications, you can directly start at level 2. Next slide, please. And then you specialize depending on whether you want to go into the biological or the biomedical stream. So let's move to the next slide. So in the 3rd year, one of the choices you have is to go into the biological sciences route. I'll talk about the biomedical sciences in the next slide. So in biological sciences, the courses are very molecular in focus, and they study fundamental processes in cell biology and molecular biology. Biochemistry is basically the general theme. Many of our scientists in the School of Life Sciences are, broadly speaking, biochemists. But there's also quite a lot of emphasis on genetics, the genome structure, gene regulation and expression, and a very big area is on discovering new drugs, so understanding how drugs work and designing them. And of course, many of our investigators are focusing on plant science, specifically on crops for the future, how to feed an increasing world population without putting additional strain on the planet. And the degrees that fall under this great umbrella of biological sciences are listed here on the right-hand side. Some of these are biological sciences with a parenthesis, bioinformatics or plant sciences, and these are just to indicate that this is a broad-based degree of biological sciences with a specialism in either bioinformatics or in plant sciences. Next slide, please. Biomedical sciences. So the biomedical sciences are focusing more on the whole organism elements and how specific organ systems work. So then the normal function of the human body, as well as how this gets degraded or malfunctions to cause disease. And of course, how the disease affects the human body and how it can be treated. They have an element of anatomy, they have an element of physiology, and a lot of our students are very interested in understanding how the brain and nervous system work. There is also an element of pharmacology, how the drugs work to affect the body. And the degree pathways that align to that stream are these things on the right: biomedical sciences, neuroscience, pharmacology, and physiological sciences. And these are delivered in partnership with our colleagues in the University of Dundee School of Medicine. Next slide, please. So I promised a little bit more information about our fourth year. So this is the honours year. So the honours year consists of 2 semesters. And in the first semester, students have an 11-week research project. So they don't do any lectures. They just dedicate themselves for a whole semester to the research project. Many of our students choose to do a laboratory project, but we also offer data analysis projects, bioinformatics projects, science communication projects, and biobusiness projects to cater for all tastes. They also are able to join. They do this by joining one of the laboratories, and they can attend seminars by guest speakers. They have a range of assignments that they need to complete. At the end of this, there is the Honours Symposium, where they present their findings to their peers and the academics, and then they move on to semester 2, which is a range of specialist modules taught by the researchers. And at the end of this, our students, as long as they pass everything, when most of our students pass everything, graduate with a BSc honours degree. Next slide, please. For a small number of our students, about 10% of the cohort, there is an opportunity to continue into the integrated masters. So this is an optional year, and it is particularly suitable for those who want to continue to do a PhD, to want to stay in research, or want to spend an additional year to decide if they want to do a PhD. But they have an interest in extending their laboratory skills. And this is an extended research project that takes place for most of that academic year, and an extended range of research seminars and additional skills in planning of a project that you expect to learn in such a longer period project. This is a competitive entry program, and it is based on performance in previous years. So you will need to achieve an upper second class provisional classification before you're accepted to this. If you do choose that route, then you do not graduate at the end of your 4th year, but you graduate after your 5th year, and you graduate with a degree that's called the MSci degree, Master of Science. Next one, please. So we have a small range of types of projects that, just to give you a flavor of the kinds of things that our students are doing. So these include genome editing using CRISPR technology, physiology of human physiology as it applies to exercise, behavioral neuroscience, and a whole range of things. Just click all of these through if you can, including biochemistry such as modification of the messenger RNA cap, regulation of a protein important for a whole bunch of things, including cancer, cancer-related projects, cutaneous skin cancer, and molecular sort of biochemistry, as in phosphatases during mitosis. This is just a small selection of projects that we've just grabbed a few titles just to give you a range. Next one, please. So the odd program out, if you like, from this whole range, I've made a point of keeping it out of most of the discussion, is this joint program with the National University of Singapore. So this is a different type of program. This is a joint degree program in which students change their institution partway through their studies. So if you apply to join this program, you would spend 5 semesters in Dundee and then swap over and do the last 3 semesters, year and a half of your studies in Singapore, in the National University of Singapore. National University of Singapore is the #1 university in the ASEAN region, is one of the top universities in the world, and we have been working together for many years through exchange agreements. We know that we perform really well as a complementary units for our students. So we have agreed a number of years ago to embark on this joint award. So we recognize each other's contributions and we give you a degree certificate that has both university badges on it. So this is it's slightly different. This is not a Royal Society of Biology accredited degree. This is a separate kind of degree, and entry is extremely competitive. So, okay, next slide, please. Now, of course, you all care about coming to study and learn new stuff, but going to university is not only about learning new stuff in your chosen topic. It is about developing as an individual, and we are very, very keen to get our students to broaden their horizons. And we offer several options for people to do that. And Dr. Hormosdy is somebody who's been intricately linked in these opportunities. So we offer students an opportunity to do a summer placement in the research lab, to take a year out and go and work for a company, work in industry, apply for internships in companies that have been developed, biological science companies that have spun out of the University of Dundee, or go for an exchange to one of our partner institutions, either for a semester or in some cases even for a whole year. Next slide, please. So if you wish to go on an international exchange, these exchanges typically take place during the second year of student study. And we have a bunch of European partners. Previously, this would have been Erasmus partners, but after Brexit, we're not part of Erasmus anymore. So they include universities in Paris, in Barcelona, in the Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden, and Madrid. And we also have international exchange partners that include the National University of Singapore and other universities in the Far East, like Hong Kong and the USA, Canada, Malaysia, and several other opportunities using the Pagoda projects that allow students to travel abroad in Vietnam, China, Mexico, and as far away as Manchester, if you believe it. And we have an exciting opportunity with Nanyang Technological University lined up for the next academic year. Next slide, please. So I'm gonna after this slide, I'm gonna pass over back to Professor Dale. But just to give you a flavor of the kinds of things that our students do during their studies. So this is one of our MSci students. So this is a student who completed an optional 5th year of studies. So Sei Oluwase Jesusanmi. So Sei did his project on animal behavior, and Sei was very interested in understanding how behavioral neuroscience is done, and typically this involves observing animals and their interactions and scoring them manually. So he taught himself how to code, and over the period of his project, he created an artificial intelligence program, machine learning program, that was able to automate and classify the behavior of these animals. So this is a massive discovery. So Sei won this honorable mention by the Innovator of the Year award category for the annual prizes for this behavior. So Sei graduated with a first-class MSci, and he's now off to do a PhD down in London on, guess what, behavioral neuroscience. So just to give you an idea of the kind of things and innovation that some of our students can achieve. So say graduated this year. Next slide, please. So I'm going to pass over for career support over to back to Professor Dale.
Thank you very much. Thanks very much, Marius. That was wonderful to hear about the really exciting course options that we have on offer in the school. So of key importance as well, I'm sure to many of you, is to understand what career support we offer to our students and what career opportunities are available to students that graduate with a degree in biological or biomedical sciences. So to answer the first question then, I've just picked a slide here that just outlines some of the support that's available to you, either within our programmes embedded into various modules. At level 1 and level 2, we have careers and enterprise modules. We also have the opportunity for you to set up dedicated one-to-one appointments with our careers advisor. Dr. Hormazdi, again, as our employability lead for the school, has been really involved in setting up some fantastic masterclasses for our life sciences students, connecting with companies in the local area and potential future employers. There are also some student-led life science career conferences, as well as employer events and fairs and webinars. So huge amounts of opportunity for you to speak to potential future employers and to find out what it is that the jobs that they might have to offer involve. So then what about some of our exit data? What do our graduates go on to do? And the answer I've put here, almost anything and everything, is because it really is true. So this website here, I really encourage you to go to jot that down and to go and look at that. In fact, maybe I could ask one of my colleagues to type that into the chat, because it would be a really great way for you to get some ideas about what some of our students have been going off to do as their future careers. Some of the data is presented here on this slide. So down the left are the different degree routes that Dr. Stavridis just described to you. And then the bars along to the right here highlight the fact that some of our students in each of those different programmes go on to do either a master's, and those are the blue bars, either in Dundee or elsewhere. Some go on to do a PhD in Dundee or elsewhere, those are the red bars. Some go on though to do dentistry or medicine, while others take out a gap year or go straight into employment. This slide is showing you that, so that last slide was our recent undergraduate exit data, and this is our master's exit data from our most recent graduates. And again, just highlighting some of the diversity of different types of jobs that biological sciences can offer to you. So maybe that you want to be microbiologist, a product manager, a marketing lead. So absolutely enormous diversity. And this slide again, just focusing in on what some of our recent graduates have gone on to do. I'm going to pick out just this very top one because we do encourage our students to stay in touch with us and tell us what it is that they're going off to do. And so Aman has actually, within the sort of half hour before this presentation, informed Dr. Stavridis that he has just secured himself a job as a research assistant in the Wellcome Sanger Centre. So firstly, we love to hear back from our students, but secondly, just showing that these are incredibly competitive positions that our students are managing to secure. So enormous flexibility, enormous diversity. And why is it that students can go into such diverse jobs? Well, that is because what we endow you with as part of your studies with us is a set of really transferable skills. So centered around being really competent with IT software, being problem solvers and troubleshooters, being able to work in a team, working independently, developing really good oral and written communication skills. And all of these skills are given to you in order to give you the very best preparation for a career in biosciences, And that may be whether it's in academia or in industry, or in fact in careers that are related to science but not directly research related. So now I'm going to switch to just highlight the fact that obviously in the context of the pandemic, I wanted to highlight that August last year, Dundee was heralded as being one of the very safest places to study in the UK. And this slide is just highlighting some of the things that we're doing in order to make sure that our students really are kept safe. Another important consideration is, of course, the living costs. And again, I highlight the fact, what I said to you at the beginning of the talk, the fact that Dundee is in the top 10 most affordable cities in the UK. And this is giving you just rough living costs per month. Of course, that can vary depending on your living style. But Dundee is 14% more affordable than the average UK city. So that brings us to the end of this part of the presentation, and we just want to thank you very much for joining us today. And I'm now going to stop presenting and to pass over to our next presenter. That's Dr. Hormazdi, our programme lead for the Biological Sciences programmes. Over to you.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you all. Okay. All right. I'm the program lead for the Biological Sciences. And this lists all of the different degree programs that I help lead and help manage. And what you can see is that I manage the programs in biochemistry, microbiology, molecular biology, molecular genetics, and so on. And what I'm going to do in these next 10 minutes is simply talk to you about my own research background in the neurosciences. And what I hope to do is give you a little bit, tell you a little bit about why I find the field of neuroscience so fascinating. Now, much of my talk is something that you probably are already familiar. So for instance, you must all be very, very familiar with these kinds of images. And what they show is simply the nervous system. You've got the brain, the spinal cord, and you've got all these nerves that innervate your entire body. So you've got the brain, the spinal cord, you've got the nerves, and that comprises your nervous system. It innervates your body. And that innovation is shown here. So your nervous system regulates, controls, and modifies the activities of all of your organs. You're in your garden and your neighbor's cooking and you can smell the food, and that might cause you to salivate. You see something that is dangerous or harmful and you perceive it to be a threat, and that is going to cause your heart to beat a little bit faster. And all of this comes about as a consequence of the fact that your nervous system, it regulates, controls your various organs. So it innovates, integrates, controls your body. It is not an exaggeration then to say that I am my nervous system. My nervous system is what you see and what you interact and what you engage with. You see here is essentially a human brain, and it looks kind of just a homogeneous mass. It doesn't look as if there are too many things that are discriminating one portion of the brain from another. But that is really not quite true. If you examine the brain functionally, you will see that this cortex, which all looks very, very similar, it in fact does so many different sorts of things. There are areas of the cortex that are important in learning to speak, in speaking. There are areas of the cortex that are important in comprehending speech, so in understanding what is being spoken. There are areas of the cortex that govern your personality, that govern your judgment. It determines what you do when you're in a particular situation. So the cortex of the brain, as you see it, is in fact very, very complex. Each of these individual areas are as complicated as any other organ in your body. And this complication comes about as a consequence of the fact that your brain is large. It constitutes billions of individual neurons that send electrical signals in a variety of very complicated patterns. It is a very complex network of cells that communicate in extremely intricate patterns. It is the most complex living organ, and that is truly no exaggeration. It is really, really a complex structure, a fascinating structure to learn about and to study. Now, what I'm showing here is a drawing by a very famous Spanish neuroscientist, Ramon y Cajal, and he would spend hours looking at small microscopic sections of different parts of the brain, and he would draw what he saw on the microscope, and he used that to inform his studies. So, for instance, a drawing like this, which is a portion of the cortex, and the kinds of questions he would ask is, what do each of these neurons do? So what are they responsible for? What kinds of functions do they enable? He would ask whether these neurons are in fact the same or whether they are different. All neurons contain a cell body and they contain processes, but what is it that makes one neuron different from another? So these are the kinds of questions he would ask. He would ask, how are they interconnected? So each individual neuron, what other neurons might it be communicating with? And he was also concerned with how they communicate. So the basic question of what is the mechanism by which one neuron communicates with another is something that he helped develop and he helped finalize. So these are the questions that he was engaged in over 100 years ago. Today, we have developed and we use very beautiful, very complicated techniques. And what you can see here is the outcome of a particular kind of experiment where neurons in the rodent brain are labeled in different colors. And this is a means by which these neurons can be identified, can be discriminated. So we can use really, really complicated methods in our studies, in the modern neuroscience study. But the basic questions have not really changed very much from those that were set out by Ramon y Cajal over 100 years ago. And that highlights the fact that it is a fascinating subject, it is a very complicated subject, and there's just so much that we don't know. What I thought I'd do is tell you a little bit about a particular brain structure, just a very bit, just a very small little bit. What you can see here is a drawing by Ramon y Cajal of a portion of the brain called the cerebellum. And this shows you the different types of cells that he observed in the cerebellum. The cells that I'm primarily concerned with for now are these ones. These are beautiful, large neurons, and these are called Purkinje cells. And these particular neurons form the output of this area of the cerebellum. That means they take in all the information that comes into the cerebellum and they process it, and then they send out a resultant information. They send out a resultant electrical signal to another part of the cerebellum. So this is the cell, the Purkinje cell. It receives information from these little neurons, and these neurons are called granule cells. The granule cells are very small neurons, but they are the most numerous neuron in the brain. There's lots and lots of them. What you can see in the schematic is the Purkinje cell, and you can see these granule cells. And what the granule cells do is they will send millions of axons that will run through the cerebellum. And along the way, they will communicate with an individual Purkinje cell. So a Purkinje cell will meet 100 or more granule cells. It will receive information from 100 more granule cells. At the same time, the Purkinje cell also receives information from a neuron that is in a different part of the brain. And this relationship between the Purkinje cell and this neuron is a one-to-one relationship. So this neuron will send its axon up into the cerebellum, and it will form a very close bond with the Purkinje cell neuron. It forms a very tight, loving embrace with the Purkinje cell. So the granule cells will send information, but this information is in small little snippets. Lots of granule cells, very small influence, one neuron, inferior olive neuron, but a very humongous influence. And when you record from a Purkinje cell, you will actually see this difference. So you will see lots of electrical activity that comes from the granule cell, and occasionally and rarely, because there's only a single neuron that communicates with the Purkinje cell, you will see a different kind of response. A large response is what you will see. So these neurons are part and parcel of the cerebellum. They interact in very complicated ways, and this interaction is reflected as well in their physiology. And we know that the cerebellum is involved in movement, and the question is how all of these tie together and give rise to this form of behavior. And that's what neuroscientists all around the world are working towards. So it is, in fact, a very fascinating organ, and that too is no exaggeration. Now, what I'd like to do is simply highlight the fact that at the University of Dundee, when you come to study the life sciences, you can choose to study neuroscience as a degree route in the biomedical sciences, but you can also choose to learn about neuroscience from other neuroscientists that are in different disciplines or in different divisions within the School of Life Sciences. So what I've listed here are 3 scientists who are all based in the School of Medicine, and they all are neuroscientists, and they use behavioral techniques or electrophysiology techniques to learn a little bit more about neurons and to learn a little bit more about the brain. In the School of Life Sciences, within the School of Life Sciences, I've listed here 3 neuroscientists, and they're all involved in studying Parkinson's disease and its cellular basis by using biochemical approaches. They're interested in Parkinson's disease, its causes, its treatments, and also the means of developing a means by which it may be diagnosed early. So these are all neuroscientists located in the School of Life Sciences. Finally, what I've highlighted here as well are 3 neuroscientists who are all in the School of Life Sciences, and they are interested in learning more about how the nervous system develops. So if you're interested in the neurosciences, you can choose to be a neuroscientist via the biomedical route, but you can also choose to be in the biological sciences and also have a focus in the neurosciences. Okay, with that, I'm going to come to the end of this talk. I thank you for paying attention.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm just going to share with you my PowerPoint. Oh. Okay, that's a little. just let's see. Whoops, I'm having some problems. Oh, okay. All right, here we go. Okay, great. My name is Cameron Pollock, and I'm actually one of those students doing the integrated masters. And I'm going to talk to you about my experience studying biomedical sciences at the University of Dundee. So I've come up with some talking points to talk about during my presentation, how and why I came to study biomedical sciences at the University of Dundee, what was my experience like of studying biomedical sciences, what I got involved with outside of my degree, and what are my future career plans. So I thought I would go over how I came to study biomedical sciences, as I think my story is a little bit atypical. Just at the end of high school, I applied to, at the time I was interested in applying to medicine, and so I applied to 4 different universities for medicine, including the University of Dundee. And as a backup choice, I applied to a degree that existed at the time called medical sciences at the University of Dundee. But unfortunately, my applications to medicine were rejected, and also my backup choice of medical science at the University of Dundee was rejected. But luckily, I was offered the chance to study biomedical sciences at the University of Dundee instead. And then during the first year of my degree, when I accepted biomedical sciences, I found that I could become a clinical academic, which is a job that where you spend half the time doing doctoring and half of the time doing research. And so I thought that was a very good job to pursue once I complete my biomedical sciences degree and then apply and complete a degree in medicine in the future. And then I want to go on to a bit about the why I attended biomedical sciences at the University of Dundee. So during that application process, I went to open days, applicant days, and this special event called Destination Dundee. And what I got from those 3 events was that the experience of studying at the University of Dundee has a sort of theme of closeness and friendliness and community. And so I would say that closeness sort of comes when I found that studying life sciences, when staff explained to me that their cohort sizes, the course size, is sort of reasonably small, which allows students to get to know other students and also allows students to get to know their lecturers well and vice versa. And then I got to see firsthand during these 3 events that the campus itself is a very compact and close environment where lots of the accommodation and the gym and the lecture theatres are really close together, which sort of cuts down on your walking distance, but also gets you a chance to meet other students who are not doing the same degree as you. And so sort of encourages this interdisciplinary sort of approach. And then I also found too that just the city of Dundee itself, I find, is a very compact city where wherever you live, I feel like all of your services that you need when you live in Dundee are very close together and in close proximity. And so I think the closeness sort of gives that nice sort of community feel and friendliness that I think makes making that move from studying at university from studying at high school less overwhelming. So what was my experience like of studying biomedical sciences? Well, I thought I would show this where I felt like during my time studying biomedical sciences, I felt like I was endowed with these sort of 6 powers, which I represent as infinity stones to a Marvel Cinematic Universe. Well, you have subscriptions to powerful software such as Office 365, EndNote, Adobe, and LinkedIn Learning to help you develop your skills in these things, and also learn other skills that you would need. And then also you have Blackboard, which is the University of Dundee's virtual learning environment, which allows you to study wherever you are and with whatever device you have in that moment. Also, I put here I felt like there was so many opportunities that I encountered through my degree that it's almost like I became a magnet for opportunities, where I would get lots of emails about different summer research placements I could get involved with, or I even had the chance to change my degree to the Singapore degree. And then also you get help from the University of Dundee Career Service, the Inquiry Centre, and your Advisor of Studies. So any questions you have, I think those 3 bodies would be able to answer any of your questions. Also a lot more freedom when I made the move to study at university. The University of Dundee, their biomedical sciences program, as you heard from Kim and Maris's presentation, that you have a lot of freedom to choose what exactly you'd like to learn through choosing your optional modules and even getting the chance to change your degree from maybe microbiology to biomedical sciences. And then, of course, the University of Dundee Library has been a rock for my studies, both the online and even the physical building. So now I just want to go over some things I got involved with outside of my degree. So I was a part of academic and sports societies, and I even got the chance to lead a society. I also became a student ambassador for the School of Life Sciences, which gives me the chance to speak to you today. I did the Enterprise Challenge as well, which saw me come up with a sort of business idea, working with lots of students from different degrees to see if we could win this competition of business ideas. And then I got involved with summer research placements just at the University of Dundee. I got to work with some researchers there, and that was really useful for finding out more about research science. So what are my future plans? This is my last slide. I would say that the University of Dundee has this motto of transforming lives, and I think I can certainly say that my time at University of Dundee has transformed my life in a positive way. I found that through studying biomedical sciences that the career of research science is very involved in itself, that I think it would be better for me to just concentrate on research science and become a researcher rather than a clinical academic, because perhaps if I become a clinical academic, I might be a sort of mediocre doctor and a mediocre researcher because I split my time between those 2 worlds. So University of Dundee have given me a newfound sort of pursuit in becoming a researcher, and so this is kind of my plan for the future for myself, where I'll do my integrated masters, I'll try and get a PhD in cancer biology and immunology and become a researcher in that field. So that's, I would say, the University of Dundee has helped me realize that biology, cancer biology and immunology are two fields I'd like to get into. And so I hope if you choose to study at the University of Dundee, that it will transform your life in a way that it has done for me. So thanks for listening, and I just thought I would include a piece of art that I have in my room of Dundee, and it kind of is a sort of metaphor for how compact the city is. And that's it, really. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Cameron, for sharing your thoughts and reflections and your journey. That was really inspirational. If we could just ask if there are any final questions to be posted in the Q&A, that would be great. We've really enjoyed seeing the questions that you've put in there. Some of our student ambassadors are responding with their answers to some of the questions that have been great, really interesting questions. So any final questions from you, please do post them there and we will continue to answer them. Hope this has been enjoyable and informative to you, and really hope that we will see you in Dundee one of these days. Thanks to everyone on the panel, and bye-bye for now.